Hello, beautiful people. Today is day 8 of my 30-day challenge of Facebook Lives. It's a mess out there today with all the wind. Something about seeing yourself in camera when you're like, oh, my hair. Anyway, so today, day 8, one of my favorite questions to ask. The last couple of days, I've spoken about meditation and about being able to listen to the guidance that comes in. Today, I'm going to flip it just a little bit. The cool thing about meditation and why I tell everybody to practice, it's for your own benefit. Obviously, I can't make anybody do anything. So it's an inspiration thing. If it calls to you, do it. If it doesn't, don't. But what I will say about meditation is that it starts creating space for you to see other possibilities. When you go into down that little spiral of finding enlightenment in life, when you're searching for meaning because you in your mind tend to get stuck living in a way that you live, right? So when things kind of plateau, that's when I go searching, at least. And I mean, I'm always searching. I'm always reading something of spiritual, philosophical nature, because it fills me. It fills my cup. But one of the fantastic books that I absolutely love, let me see, I think I have it in here somewhere. Of course I do. But this one was also an audiobook, and I kind of loved it. But this is Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane here. These guys, him and this other guy called Gary Douglas, have created their own, their own way of finding meaning within the universe, and just different ways to apply tools to make life more fun. And it's a little weird, but it's fantastic because it's all about creating magic in your life. And it works. So today I'm going to share my story of using one of his tools, one of my favorite of all time. And I actually have it as a little alarm clock in my phone. I'll give you a little more tip at that at the end of the video. But the tool is, how does it get better than this? You just ask that question out into the universe. The best way to ask the question is with the mindset of, if it's a bad situation, it can only get better. And if it's a great situation, how much better can it get? So what you're doing is, just by asking and shutting up, basically, after you ask the question, don't mess with it. You're putting it out there. It's kind of, if you want to liken it to a prayer, you can. But what I like about it is that it opens it up so much that it starts attracting things that are in that playful energy of, how does it get better than this? That all of a sudden things just start coming your way. And I have a fantastic story about how does it get better than this? Because I started getting kind of ballsy using the question. And one of the things that when I started using it, it was just in the everyday. So if I was stuck in traffic, how does it get better than this? Breathe and let it go. You ask the question, now watch, observe what happens. And what's really cool is that usually, because I asked the question, I released my need to control the situation, and I was able to kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy the moment that I was in. Because when you're in traffic, there is nowhere to go. You're in your car with other cars. Everybody's in the same boat, in the fantastic energetic soup of, I want to get home or to work or whatever that is. So when you say, how does it get better than this? It opens it up. Usually you'll find out that traffic kind of seems to start going a little faster. Or you start listening to some really cool thing on the radio, or you get a fantastic phone call that you didn't think you'd get while you're sitting there. So with that energy, I started using that for other things. At one point, I had these oracle cards that I love, and that was my spiritual newspaper for the morning. I would shuffle and I would ask, what do I need to know for today? And there was this card that kept coming up, and the card is retreat. And it's the idea of going on a retreat, like you, Nicole, soul, are a little too tired and you need a break. You need to refresh yourself so that then you can have the energy to deal with the everyday life with grace. So when that card came up, I just kind of, in my prayerful way, I ask Creator, Universe, Source, to please make that happen. So how does it get better than this? One day, um, I had shared my other book, Gabby Bernstein. Well, I signed up for her newsletters and I saw that she was going to be in Boston doing a book tour for the Judgment Detox book. And I thought that was kind of cool. And I was like, how does it get better than this? Left it alone. All of a sudden, my husband comes out of nowhere and says, hey, I have 2 tickets on Southwest Airlines for $11 each because he had had mileage. And I'm like, that's interesting. How does it get better than this? Then I get an email from this hotel that I had stayed at in Boston. By the way, that initial first trip to Boston also came miraculously to me. Somehow I was invited as a professor to go in kind of like in an enrichment thing with a publishing company, and they took care of the professors because, salespeople, they get to have all the goodies when they go and do their retreats for sales, and professors, we just, ask the university, can I have some money, please? It was really cool about this publishing company. It's like, no, we're paying for you guys, we're treating you, and it was a wonderful retreat. Weekend for me to learn how to do pedagogy, language pedagogy. It was really neat. So, but I had signed up for the newsletter for that specific hotel. So lo and behold, I get an email from them. I'm so glad, Layla. So good to see you. I get an email from them that it's because it's January. It is cold. Nobody necessarily wants to go to Boston in the middle of winter. So they had a special on a fantastic room, queen size bed with overlooking the park and a fireplace in the hotel room. I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. So I told my husband, I'm like, hey, this is what's happening here. This feels good to me. And so I went ahead and called the hotel room, or the hotel, gorgeous boutique hotel. And when I actually got ballsy and I said, okay, so I got this newsletter about this special you guys have running on your hotel room. How does it get better than this? I straight up asked the question to the person, of course, has no clue what I'm doing because I'm just playing around, but I do. So I'm kind of like, hee hee, I'm going to ask you what happens. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, and we can offer you this suite. So it wasn't just now a queen size bedroom with a little fireplace. It was a whole suite that I was being offered. I was like, oh, okay, why not? And it was a fantastic price. I told Martin, okay, I guess I'm going to Boston by myself. This was going to be a retreat for me. And what was really cool, I have a fantastic husband who's super supportive. He's like, yeah, do it. That sounds like fun. And he saw that I was getting kind of stressed out before I was leaving, because for me, it's like, okay, I need to do something about it. I need to do something. And he said, look, if you just go over there and you just stay in the hotel room and rest and just be you, you've done what you needed to do. So relax. If you don't go to the book signing, it's okay. And that, it's funny that I needed permission from the outside to enjoy myself. Ridiculous, the things we do. So I was like, all right, cool. So, but I kept with that question the whole weekend. How does it get better than this? How does it get better than this? So I leave early in the morning. I get to Boston at like noon, and check-in is not till 3. But I'm able to get a cab, and he's fantastic, and whatever, we end up talking. I get to the hotel and I tell him, yeah, so I know check-in is at 3. I have a book thing at 2 p.m. I was just wondering, where if I could leave my baggage, or, how does it get better than this? I put it in there again. And the guy behind the counter just started checking out the room. And he's like, well, actually, it's ready to go in if you want to go in right now. I'm like, how does it get any better than this? So they took me upstairs at noon. I was able to have lunch. I was able to go out, pick myself some lunch, come back in, eat in the room. Or actually, I ate there, way too. And I again with the waitress, how does it get better than this? And then somehow the waitress introduced me to the owner of the restaurant because I meet people, and I was in that energy of like, how does it get better than this? And it was great. So by the time I finally get, because I finally get back to the hotel to then go to the book thing. I called downstairs to have them get me a cab. And so the guy was super sweet, gave me his phone number so I could call him back when I was done. And I was like, this is fantastic. So I didn't really have to worry because it was on the other side of town. And I was by myself, and I don't know Boston that well. So here we go. So I went, and it was kind of first come, first serve basis. So I got there about an hour early so that I could get a really good seat. And it was a packed house for that Gabby Bernstein Judgment Detox thing. And I see this one seat, 3 seats in, second row, like I'm like, oh, there's my seat. And I just start walking up there, have a seat. And I end up sitting, I asked the girl that was sitting right there, I'm like, oh, is that seat taken? They're like, no, go for it. It's all you. I'm here with a friend. This one is, but that one's not. I'm like, okay. And I sit down, and of course I hit it off with these two girls because I'm in that fantastic energy, and they just start talking to me. And it's so interesting because here we are. Of all the places I could sit, I end up sitting next to these two beautiful souls who feel like I've known them for forever. One of them is an ABA therapist. This is what my sons have. So, like, the fact that I sat next to that, an ABA therapist who is all into, getting into, in tune with your spiritual self and improving oneself and all that other stuff. And then the other person had a fantastic experience that I don't think I'm allowed to share, but so it was just one of those things where the experience, it was equal to mine, and it was like, oh my gosh, I needed to sit with you. At the end of the night, because we to chat and it was just amazing, I end up asking what, and I told them about how does it get better than this. As we're leaving, and I wanted to get my copy signed, but they basically decide to invite me to dinner with them. So I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. It's like, yeah, we can do oysters. And I'm like, oh, because Boston's famous for their oysters and all that other stuff. I'm like, that would be amazing. And so instead of the cab picking me back up, how does it get better than this? I ended up with two fantastic girlfriends who are really good friends of mine to this day. Had 3-hour conversation. We touched on every single topic we could have touched on. And there's so much more to talk about because they're just beautiful souls. It's like we were there to meet each other. So the book signing was great and all. The show was fantastic. But meeting them was the gift. And then, of course, me being myself. It got better and better and better. Even that night when I went back, the fireplace guy was just running up and down. So at the hotel, because you have a wood burning fireplace, they have a guy who's in charge of lighting everybody's fires for their fireplaces. So this poor gentleman, because it's a cold night, they had just had blizzard. It was crazy. I thought my trip wasn't going to happen because they had a blizzard for like 3 days. It was really bad. And so it was still freezing. And this poor guy's going up and down. And I was supposed to have my fire up and running by 9 o'clock. It's finally 10 o'clock. But I'm in that mindset of, how does it get better than this? And the guy comes in, he's like, I'm so sorry, we're behind. And I'm in such a beautiful state of bliss that I was like, it's okay, how does it get better than this? I got you right now. I'm here by myself. This is fantastic. And then we hit it off. And it was just this beautiful, the whole trip, it was 24 hours, maybe, the whole trip for me. But it felt like a couple of days because it was such a rich experience because I was in the mindset of how does it get better than this? It's a question I ask when I get overwhelmed at times, especially with my boys, because it can be very overwhelming. But when I ask that question, there again creates that space of just breathe. How does it get better than this? And it's a question that I've taught them. So all these questions and all these things that I do, they're mantras too. These boys know how to use them. In fact, they've memorized them. It's actually the cutest thing in the world. The point is, the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's something that really does work. It helps. the craziness that you can hear in the background. I'll get mics that, yeah, never mind. It's okay. It's sweet to hear them too. It's close to bedtime over here, so I gotta let you guys go for the day. But I really wanted to share that because I just sprinkle it everywhere. I use it in my emails. I use it, especially when I'm asking for a favor or I'm asking for, like if I have an issue when I buy something and it's kind of broken or, you know, it. I'm just like, you know what? How does it get better than this? Because the person, the customer service, isn't the one that has the issue. I'm the one that has the issue. And if they can do something for me, I'm going to ask nicely. And what's funny is there is so much that comes back when you have that energy of like, ooh. And I just love that weekend in Boston. It's like one of the most miraculous weekends. And there's more to it, but it's just not enough time. And I'm trying to keep them, at a certain level. So I'll continue sharing these little things here and there. I hope today's was of service to y'all. Yeah, I'm sending you all the love and light in the world. Oh, and then of course, if you don't see the live, please go ahead and go to the YouTube channel, Nicole Laswell's 2S's 2L's. If you like the video, hit like over there and then hit subscribe if you want to see more videos and the notification bell so you know when I upload new ones. So yeah, thanks for watching everybody. Sending you so much love and light and I'll catch you tomorrow for day 9. Bye.